I'm Rebecca Benneyworth and I'm a lecturer on tax. I also work very closely with HMRC on the Making Tax Digital project, and I'm involved at all sorts of levels, trying to help them understand the needs of small businesses and their advisors. MTD, in my view, is a really complete restructuring of the way HMRC administer tax in this country for the self-employed and for VAT-registered businesses. So it will involve people moving on to digital records. HMRC believe that's going to improve accuracy in record keeping. And then when the income tax element of it comes in, there'll be people will be supplying updates once every 3 months to HMRC, and HMRC believe that that will encourage people to keep their records more up to date rather than writing them up once a year. So I can see a number of benefits for HMRC, but I can see benefits both for businesses and their advisors from going forward with MTD. So far, the MTD rollout's been quite slow, and that's partly down to a change of emphasis coming from the top, from the minister, who decided that the income tax element for businesses would go onto a slower track, and we bring forward the VAT. So VAT is still starting on the same date as was originally planned, but a lot more emphasis has gone into VAT. So my understanding is that it is possible to join the income tax pilot to find out what that is and how it works. But obviously HMRC are quite keen for people to join the VAT testing when that opens more widely. They're just in beta test at the moment, and that will enable people to get a measure of what the new VAT obligations are. I think where we're up to now really is that people are preparing. A lot of people know about it. Not all businesses are aware about MTD, but most of their advisors know about it. And I think we're really on a glide path to getting as many people up and ready with digital records. Digital records are the absolute key to being able to do Making Tax Digital. So getting clients onto digital software, that's really the important step for advisors at the moment. As we go forward with the income tax regime starting possibly in 2020, possibly not until 2021, it's really clear that there's going to be a massive upheaval for a lot of clients under the current proposals. So I'm working on the assumption that the current proposals are what we'll get. We're not quite sure when, but what I'm doing is starting to move my clients over to digital record keeping now, so that I don't have a massive rush when the rules actually come in. So I'll be joining the VAT pilot once it's open, and I'm also going to have some clients on the income tax pilot so that I can actually start moving them over in a structured way. Larger firms than mine really do need to be thinking about this, because they've got a much bigger multiplier, and if they've got a lot of clients to move over, they actually need to start work on this now. I think if you're an accountant in practice at the moment, what you really need to be doing is going back to the office and sitting down and thinking about VAT, because VAT is more imminent. So you need to be thinking about your client base. You can ignore the ones that aren't VAT registered. You need to be stratifying your client base into those above the VAT threshold of 85,000 turnover and below. Those above are going to be the ones that are affected by mandation. So you then need to be drilling into that population, identifying how many have got fairly simple VAT affairs. You'll just be able to push them through some standard software, and how many are actually going to need moving from manual records onto digital records. They are again the population you need to think about and get going on quite quickly. Then there'll be clients with much more complicated VAT affairs, and you'll be starting to think about maybe using a combination of software and spreadsheets in order to meet their needs for VAT. For businesses that are thinking about Making Tax Digital for VAT, obviously if they are above the VAT threshold and VAT registered, they really ought to be starting to think about it, and hopefully their accountants have contacted them. Maybe they deal with their own tax affairs. So what you need to be doing is thinking about your record keeping. You need digital records, and these need to be made up regularly. If you're a pub or a shop, you need to be keeping a record of your daily takings. Weekly takings isn't sufficient. Then you need to be thinking about whether the software you've got is going to be able to support you to file your VAT returns directly from the software. You may need to talk to your software company about that, or indeed talk to your accountant if you've got one, or your tax advisor, so that you're actually starting to prepare yourself for mandation next April, less than a year away. For firms of accountants communicating with clients, it's going to be dependent on your size and your client base and the sophistication of some of your clients. But the sorts of ideas some firms are having is maybe having a short video interview on their website, just very short, saying what the key points about VAT for making tax digital for VAT will be. Some firms are doing leaflets that they're sending out to their clients, or a tailored email. Obviously, GDPR compliant, so you'll need to make sure that you've got all of that set down and then start notifying your clients just to let them know this is coming, and then you can start breaking that down. Some firms are also doing short seminars in the office and inviting a dozen clients or so they can come in, get an idea about what this involves, and then talk to their contact partners about what's going to be needed to go forward. I think to improve on the current run-in to MTD, I think a lot of accountants need to really start to think about the benefits that cloud-based software are going to offer to them, because my experience so far in moving some of my clients onto software, I'm thrilled to bits. It's changing the way I work, it's changing what I do, it's changing when I do it, and I'm seeing massive benefits to my firm. Now, I wouldn't have done this had it not been for MTD. I'm sure I wouldn't have done it now. I might have done it in the future. So I think accountants need to be a bit quicker at really identifying what the benefits are going to be to their firm. I think a lot of firms are going to have to restructure, change the way they work, change the way they deal with their clients. But I think welcoming that as an opportunity to grow for the future and become a really digital firm, I think is a real opportunity. From HMRC's point of view, I will say, obviously I am very involved in trying to help HMRC understand the needs of smaller businesses and their advisors, they have been very welcoming. They are always happy to hear from me and think about the suggestions I make. And so I think they are doing the right things. I think even now there are things we can look back on and say, could have done that a bit differently. But that's hindsight, and the agile way of building software is miles away from how they used to develop software. So I think, and that close relationship they're now building with companies like yours and other providers, I think is absolutely excellent. I think they've come on a massive amount.